Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be revealing my team for Game Week 14. I have 2 free transfers and I'm almost definitely going to be using both of them. There are a couple of options for me, but I'm going to delve into the details and also talk about captaincy because I've got a big decision to make with that as well. First of all though, I'm going to have a quick look back at my team from Game Week 13 to give you guys some context. I had a pretty unbelievable week. 73 points on the free hit sees me jump from, 720k up to 200k. It is, again, one of the best game weeks I think I've ever had in terms of using a chip. I got extremely lucky, as you have to do to have this big of a swing over people that didn't use free hit. I mean, like everyone knows, it just did really well. Gakpo, Foden, those were the standouts. And then the Villa clean sheet as well. And the fact that, Arsenal lost their clean sheet. Palace lost the clean sheet as well. Just key players from the standard teams without free hits. Semenyo, for example, didn't do well, and that allowed for that swing. But yeah, obviously a lot of luck involved, but pretty crazy that even on a week where, the free hit was sort of built around Salah and he was the second most expensive player in the team, Mukiele came on for 0 points. Didn't really affect things too much because everyone else did so well. So yeah, a lot of luck there, and it puts me in a really good position going forward. Although this week, I do have, as I mentioned, a conundrum. I've got Sarr in my team, who I think is going to have to be sold. And I have Senesi, who is not just suspended for this game, but also, if you look at the fixtures, really doesn't have that many appealing ones for a while, even after Game Week 20, into the new year. Bournemouth's fixtures just really aren't that good at all. So in terms of the players that are going to be sold, with 2 free transfers, I'm almost definitely going to be selling both Sarr and Senesi. And I think as well the fact that we do get those 5 extra free transfers very soon in Game Week 17, 16, 17, whatever it is, Game Week 17 I think, then that is more of a reason for me to use these 2 transfers now, knowing that I've got 5 coming very soon. So yeah, I've actually only got 14, 15, and then in 16 we get the 5 free transfers. So yeah, got to make the transfers this week. I'll talk about my potential pathways in a second. But firstly, I want to have a look at what Fantasy Football Hub's AI is suggesting for my team, because I've actually not had a look at it yet. So I wonder if it'll be very similar to what I'm thinking, or it will be something completely different. Okay, so the 2 recommendations for me, or the recommendation in general, I should say, is to sell those 2 players, which is good. I suppose it does make sense. Both aren't going to play this week. Sarr probably out long term, and Senesi, the fixtures aren't great anyway. 4, Anderson and O'Reilly. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Okay. That's not exactly what I had in mind, I'm going to be honest. One of those players, Anderson, is definitely in my thoughts. O'Reilly, less so. And I'll explain why when I come to talk about my actual plans. But he is one that's like on the precipice. I'm just not 100% sure on him. But that structure of moves is definitely very similar to what I'm thinking. So yeah, very interesting. I mean, O'Reilly has a lot of upside. Maybe I should be considering him a little bit more, but I'm not really. And yeah, as I said, I'll explain why in just a second. But those are my recommendations. If you would like to see your own recommendations for your own team, personalized to your team, then sign up to Fantasy Football Hub. In my opinion, this is the best time in the season to be a Fantasy Football Hub paid member, because with the game weeks coming so thick and fast, I mean, this video is out Tuesday at some point. I mean, I'm scrambling to get it out even before the deadline today at 6 p.m. And then there's another deadline, of course, on Saturday, and there'll be some more midweek games throughout Christmas. A lot of us don't have the time to really put in place like solid plans, really evaluate options, and yeah, know exactly what we're doing with our teams to the nth degree, like a lot of us want to normally. I mean, I work in fantasy football, and even I struggle for time sometimes throughout December. Like, it's crazy. So using a tool like this is just a really easy way to give you an idea of what might be the right move for you. You don't have to follow it blindly, but also you can follow it blindly. Like, our whole thing is, if you want to win at FPL, use our tool. Do you want to win at FPL? Then sign up and use Fantasy Football Hub's AI recommended transfers to improve your team. Anyway, let's get back to my team. Okay, so as you can see right now, Keane is in the team when I click optimize down here because of the injuries. I don't really want to play Keane Bournemouth away. It's not the worst. I mean, Mukiele is never playing. I'll make that abundantly clear. It's not the worst fixture of all time, Bournemouth away, and I could, in any normal given game week, play him in that and try and get, 3 or 4 points. And we saw Keane against United keep a clean sheet. So it can be done against, in theory, better team. But I don't want to play him in that game. So that is why I need a replacement for Senesi. Mukiele obviously isn't going to play either. So the options are, starting with Senesi. And it really depends on what I do with Sarr, whether I go down with Sarr. For example, a good replacement, I think, for Sarr is Anderson this week. Not just because I think he's a good pick anyway. He's been really good for DEFCONs recently. He may well be on penalties. He's very consistent in the side. Like, I think he's going to play every game throughout the Christmas period, which is where I often go wrong. I often go too risky with my picks, whereas he's going to play every game. At least, in theory, he should. And he might be on penalties, which is really interesting. And Forest do look better. I know they lost to Brighton, but overall, they definitely look like a more competitive side with the managerial change. So he's a good option, I think. Slightly boring, perhaps, but consistent and will tick along throughout December. If I go from Sarr down to an Anderson, it means I have the money to go from Senesi up to a Timber. So there's O'Reilly. That's interesting. But yeah, Timber, I think, with the injury to Gabriel, and we're not 100% sure what's going on with Saliba as well, but I think that they need Timber more than ever in that side. Normally, I would expect him potentially to get rotated in this Brentford game, but I just don't think that Arteta can risk that. You can't have Mosquera, Nkapie, and Ben White, I don't think, all playing. It's just too much of a difference. Even if Calafiori does play, I think there's too much going on there, and I think that he will want Timber. Timber obviously has just been phenomenal this season. I mean, arguably Arsenal's best player. He's just so consistently good. Arsenal's best defender, for sure. I mean, now that Gabriel's been injured, what a player. I actually can't believe how good he is after that ACL injury. It's just phenomenal. But yeah, I'm hoping that if I do go for Timber, he plays Brentford, plays Villa away, where I think I'll probably still play him anyway, even though there are some other good fixtures in my team for Gameweek 15, as we'll see. And then they play Club Bruges in the Champions League before this good run of fixtures. So hopefully against Bruges, he'd get his rest. But I do like the idea of doubling up with Raya and Timber throughout the Christmas period. O'Reilly, I think, as you can see, he's got more predicted points over the next 4 weeks. And he definitely has more upside. He's more attacking, for sure. He could easily have scored in the last game week. But they play Real Madrid after Sunderland at home. And there's no way O'Reilly can play every game. I just don't think he's going to play every game. Aït-Nouri now is back. He played a half in the previous Champions League game. I think he will get minutes across this period. He just will. So, again, I don't want to have a player in my team who I'm checking the team sheet of every single game week throughout December. And this is where I've made that mistake before. So I think I would play it safe, maybe with Timber. Not the safest option, but I think he's safer than O'Reilly. He's a lot more. I mean, 1.3 million is a huge difference. But yeah, this is one way I could do it, Anderson and Timber. The other way of doing it would be to go for a much more fun player in midfield in Yankuba Minte, who, I mean, I probably got him wrong. I wasn't sure on him. I thought maybe he's still a bit too raw, but he's been excellent the last few weeks. Looks really sharp. And look at that. The 3 of the next 4. Maybe Villa at home isn't the best, but West Ham at home is phenomenal. Sunderland at home, and then he doesn't go to AFCON with Gambia. So he's got Burnley at home, West Ham away. And he's playing very consistently in this Brighton side. So I like that a lot, consistently in terms of minutes and starts. So he would come in, potentially. And then obviously I couldn't afford Timber, so I would have to go down to someone else. And then it could be O'Reilly, to be fair. It could be. It would be between O'Reilly and Thiaw of Newcastle. That is more of a decision, to be fair. Between those two, I don't know. I still think I'd slightly maybe lean towards Thiaw, although the upside of O'Reilly is very tempting. What I do like about this set of moves, say I went for O'Reilly, it doesn't really matter who I go for out of these two. If I do those moves, first of all, the team for this week is just significantly better, and it's going to be better anyway. But then coming to Gameweek 15, the money in the bank that I gain from that, which I don't have with the Timber and Anderson moves, means that I could sell Semenyo here and afford Foden. It's very close, which is why I think I may have to go for Thiaw if Foden's going to rise again. because I've got, I bought Semenyo very cheap, which is why, although he's now 7.8, my selling price is like 7.4 or 5 or whatever it is. So that is more potentially tempting. And that looks great. I mean, what does that even make my gaming rating there? 96%, team rating 96%. Very strong. And I think I'm well set up. Like the rest of my team is in a good spot anyway. But yeah, if I didn't do that, then I would still have Semenyo against Chelsea, which again is not the worst. And I will judge Semenyo more after this game and see how he does against Everton and see how Bournemouth look. I mean, they've been relatively unlucky recently. They're shipping a lot of goals, but their attack is still really good from a numbers perspective, underlying numbers. And he got 1 point last week. He could have had 12. He really could have. It's very fortunate for me as a free hitter who didn't include Semenyo on my free hit, but is now back in my team. The rest of the team, I think I'm very happy with. Thiago as well, not the best couple of fixtures. If we go back to Gameweek 14, I'll make these transfers and then go back to Gameweek 14. But everyone's going to be bringing him in after that anyway. I think it's only one bad fixture. And again, it's not Gabriel and Saliba. It's Nketiah and Mosquera. So it's probably the best time from a forwards perspective to play against Arsenal. Then it's like a very good run. So I'm happy with him, obviously. And then the rest is, yeah, as I said, pretty good. Captaincy is the interesting one this week. I'm very, very torn between Saka and Haaland. Very, very torn. I think right now I am leaning towards Haaland, but it's very close. The thing with Saka, he has obviously got more routes to points. His DEFCON potential is like higher than we expected, and even with Gabriel not in the team, we're still seeing that Arsenal are pretty reliant, or at least very good from set pieces, attacking anyway. It's just that Haaland is like so potentially explosive. I know he didn't get anything against Leeds or against Newcastle, but in that Newcastle game, he had so many chances. His expected numbers were a joke. Looked super threatening. And Fulham away is an easier game, I think, than Newcastle. Maybe even arguably Leeds as well. I don't know what really happened to City. They seem to just relax after going 2-0 up, but I think Haaland will be hungry to get back in the goals. And he's just so consistently close to goals. And you know he's going to have 5+ shots in a game, or at least the majority of the time. Saka can easily go a game without having a decent chance. So right now I'm leaning towards Haaland. I also think that because of his blank against Leeds, his EO will be lower, which is more enticing to me to go for him and actually get some upside there if he does do well. Also, I own them both anyway, so it's not the biggest decision. But yeah, right now I'm on Haaland. I don't know. Let me know in the comments who you're thinking of captaining this week. There's also the United players, of course, Bruno Fernandes. But I don't have him, and I'm not going to get him, and I'm not going to captain Mbeumo over a Haaland. It's just not the way I play, and I don't need to risk it at this stage of the season with my rank. But yeah, that is my thoughts on captaincy. So finally, going back to how my team looks for Game Week 14, I think I am most likely to go for Anderson and Timber and be boring, which, if you've watched these videos throughout the season, you probably know that is sort of my play style, but it does do consistently well. And I know a lot of you may not like it, but if you want consistently good ranks, oftentimes this is the best way of playing. I also I think Anderson is a fun pick anyway, now that he might be on penalties and Forest look better, and he's a very good player. I'm an England fan. He's going to start at the World Cup. What a player to have in your team. Anderson and Timber will probably be the transfers. The only thing I do worry about is just Game Week 15, where that leaves me with just the one free transfer before we get the 5. But again, because we're about to get 5 transfers, it's not the end of the world. Interestingly, Timber would potentially come up the team there. Could play him over Semenyo in that week. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but I could. Maybe then you just, I don't know, go for someone a bit more fun, but I couldn't get to Foden for that great run that he's got. It's food for thought. It really is an interesting one for Game Week 15, and that is why I love the My Team tool, because it's not just on the FPL app where you see your moves for that week and how your team looks for Game Week 14. You can then have a look at Game Week 15, which, by the way, I think is really strange that you can't do that on the official website. Like, look ahead or set your team for weeks in advance. You should just be able to do that. I don't know why you can't, but that is why this tool is so good. Yeah, a Semenyo replacement that week would maybe be tougher to find. But again, I could then at that moment go to Minte and have money in the bank. So like all these players that I'm thinking about, Foden, Minte for sure, Timber, like another Arsenal defender, maybe even an Anderson. I think they will be coming into my team pretty soon. And yeah, Minte, then I'm just missing the Villa at home game. Maybe that's the way I do it. And I sort of forgo Foden, who has only had one haul this season. And in the last 7 games especially, that's his first goal involvements in a long time in the Premier League. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking at the moment. I say loose thoughts. They're not really that loose at all. They're pretty solid. It's going to be almost definitely Anderson and Timber. Slight chance I go with Minte, but then I'm not too sure about Dior or O'Reilly, and I think I want to play safe throughout December, or as safe as I can. No, yeah, that's boring, but that's just how I play. Hate me in the comments if you're going to hate me, guys. I will respect it, and I will read them all as I always do. So yeah, let me know in the comments, what would you do in my position? What are your thoughts this week, especially in terms of captaincy? Very tight turnaround. Make sure not to miss the deadline, 6 p.m. this evening. And yeah, good luck. I'll catch you in a couple of days to preview Gameweek 15.